I first saw those prenatal vitamins on the bathroom counter and felt a wave of confusion. Amanda and I had been married for 5 years, living our quiet life in Portland. We had discussed having children someday. But this seemed sudden. My wife was a dedicated pediatric nurse, with a heart of gold, always putting others first. That quality had drawn me to her from the beginning. But lately her sister Natalie had been struggling with infertility for years, and I noticed Amanda spending more time with her. When Amanda suggested helping her sister have a baby, I thought it was a beautiful gesture. Something in her eyes that day made me uneasy, a shadow I chose to ignore. Before I continue this story that changed my life forever, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how I discovered my wife's betrayal and found the strength to stand up for myself. I met Amanda at my college roommate's wedding. She was a bridesmaid and I was a groomsman. We locked eyes across the venue during the ceremony, and later that night we talked until the reception ended. She had this infectious laugh that made everyone around her smile, and her compassion for others showed in how she spoke about her nursing career. After 3 months of dating, I knew she was the one. 2 years later, we were married in a small ceremony surrounded by friends and family. We built a comfortable life together. In a craftsman home I had partially renovated myself. My architectural firm had just made me a junior partner, and Amanda had recently been promoted to head pediatric nurse at Portland Memorial. We had everything we wanted at this stage of our lives, and were saving for the future. Natalie was 3 years older than Amanda, and had always been the family overachiever. She married Jack, a successful investment banker, right after finishing her MBA. They had the perfect life on paper. But the one thing they desperately wanted eluded them. For 6 years, they tried to have a child. Natalie suffered through 3 devastating miscarriages before being diagnosed with a condition that made carrying a pregnancy to term nearly impossible. I still remember the family dinner where everything changed. It was a rainy Sunday in October, when we gathered at Natalie and Jack's upscale Lake Oswego home. Amanda had insisted we bring her homemade lasagna, knowing it was her sister's favorite comfort food. The evening was going well until Natalie opened the second bottle of wine, and her eyes welled up with tears. She told us their 3rd round of IVF had failed, and their doctor suggested considering a surrogate or adoption. Jack sat silently, his hand on her shoulder, looking defeated. Amanda reached across the table and squeezed her sister's hand. I watched my wife's face transform with determination as she said, "I want to help somehow, Nat. You deserve to be a mother more than anyone I know." The sisters embraced, crying together while Jack and I exchanged uncomfortable glances. On the drive home, Amanda was quiet but seemed energized. I told her how proud I was of her generous heart, assuming she was considering being a surrogate through proper medical procedures. She smiled and squeezed my hand, but said nothing about specifics. In the weeks that followed, I noticed subtle changes in Amanda's behavior. She bought new clothes more feminine and flattering than her usual practical style. She started spending more time away from home, explaining she was researching surrogacy and meeting with Natalie. Her phone was suddenly always face down, and she changed her password, something she had never done before in our marriage. I wanted to believe everything was fine. I trusted my wife completely and admired the close bond she shared with her sister. Growing up without siblings myself, their relationship seemed special. Amanda and Natalie texted constantly, finished each other's sentences, and had inside jokes that went back to childhood. I figured this surrogacy journey would only strengthen their connection. Natalie has been through so much. Amanda told me one night, as we lay in bed, "I just want to make this happen for her, you know. She would do the same for me." I nodded and pulled her close, feeling a surge of pride in her selflessness. That was the woman I married, always thinking of others. Little did I know how that quality would be twisted into something unrecognizable. The first real flag appeared when I spotted Amanda having lunch with Jack at a cafe downtown. I was heading to a client meeting when I saw them through the window, huddled in conversation. I waved, but neither noticed me. I thought little of it until I saw them together again the following week at a different restaurant. This time their heads were bent close and Jack was showing her something on his phone. Amanda laughed and touched his arm briefly. When I casually mentioned seeing them, Amanda said they were discussing surrogacy logistics. Jack has questions that are easier to ask me than Natalie, she explained. He is worried about the medical aspects. That made sense given Amanda's nursing background. But when I saw them a third time at a hotel restaurant across town, doubt crept in. Why meet there so far from both their workplaces? One evening, I overheard a fragment of Amanda's phone conversation as I walked past our home office. Natural is better anyway, she was saying. The doctors agreed. This makes more sense for everyone involved. She quickly ended the call when she noticed me. Who was that? I asked. Just Natalie, she replied too quickly. We were talking about organic prenatal vitamins. I nodded, but something felt off. Why would they be discussing prenatal vitamins before any medical procedures had taken place? When I asked about doctor appointments for the surrogacy process, Amanda became defensive. Can you trust me to handle this? It is emotionally complicated enough without having to report every detail to you. I backed off, not wanting to add stress to what I still believed was a selfless act. But the next morning, while looking for aspirin in our bathroom, I found a bottle of prenatal vitamins tucked behind Amanda's moisturizers. The seal was broken and several pills were missing. That night I confronted her. Are you pregnant already? When did the procedure happen? Amanda sighed and sat on the edge of our bed. Yes, I am pregnant. About 6 weeks now. I did not tell you, because everything happened faster than expected. Natalie found a fertility specialist who suggested trying as soon as possible due to my age. My age? You are only 33, I said, confused. In fertility terms, that is getting up there, she replied, not meeting my eyes. Anyway, it is done now. Are you not happy for Natalie? I was stunned by how she had excluded me from such a major decision but tried to be understanding. Of course I am happy for her. I just wish you had included me in the process. Amanda smiled with relief and kissed me. Thank you for understanding. This means everything to Natalie and Jack. But things continued to feel wrong. At the next family gathering, Natalie kept hugging me and saying how grateful she was while Jack could barely look me in the eye. When Amanda mentioned wanting to update our wills and legal documents, I thought it was responsible planning given the pregnancy. But then I discovered a form requiring my signature to list me as the baby's father. I do not understand, I said, showing her the document. If you are a surrogate, why would I be listed as the father? Amanda took the paper, her expression careful. It is just a formality. The lawyers suggested it would make the adoption process smoother for Natalie and Jack later. The explanation made no sense. If this was a legitimate surrogacy, there would be clear legal frameworks that would not involve falsifying paternity. The timeline also troubled me. 6 weeks pregnant meant Amanda would have conceived right around the family dinner when surrogacy was first mentioned. No fertility clinic works that fast. My world collapsed on a Tuesday night in March. Amanda had fallen asleep early, leaving her tablet on the coffee table. A message notification appeared from Jack. Normally, I would never look at her private communications, but something compelled me to tap the screen. What I found destroyed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. The tablet was synced to her phone, showing months of deleted texts between Amanda and Jack, explicit messages discussing their arrangement, scheduling times to meet, and Jack thanking her after their encounters. There were hotel receipts, photos I wish I could unsee, and discussions about the pregnancy that had nothing to do with medical procedures. I sat in the dark living room until dawn reading through the evidence of their betrayal. When Amanda came downstairs ready for her morning shift, she found me still sitting there surrounded by screenshots I had printed. What is all this? She asked, her voice faltering as she recognized the messages. You tell me, I said quietly. You have been sleeping with Jack to get pregnant. For a moment she seemed ready to deny it. Then her expression changed to something clinical and detached. Yes, it was the practical solution. The coldness of her admission hit me like physical pain. No apology, no shame, just a practical solution. Practical. I repeated, my voice breaking. You betrayed our marriage as a practical solution. You do not understand, she said, sitting down across from me. After the last failed IVF, Natalie was desperate. The doctors suggested using an egg donor and surrogate, but insurance would not cover it. We are talking about $50,000 minimum. So you decided to sleep with her husband instead. I was struggling to breathe. It was just physical Quentin. It meant nothing. This way the baby shares Natalie's family DNA through Jack. We did it the natural way to save money and make the child as biologically connected to Natalie as possible. My mind reeled at her justification. How long has this been going on? About 4 months, she admitted. We wanted to make sure it would work before involving you. Involving me, I laughed bitterly. You were never going to involve me. You were going to trick me into signing. As the father of a child that is not mine, Natalie cannot have a child. Quentin, this baby is her only chance at motherhood. Are you really going to destroy that because of your ego? I stared at my wife, this stranger in my home. Does your family know about this? Her silence told me everything. They know, I realized aloud. Everyone knows except me. Mom and Dad thought it might be hard for you to understand, she said quietly. But they support us, helping Natalie this way. They are practical people. Practical. I repeated the word, turning bitter in my mouth. And what happens after the baby is born? We sign over parental rights to Natalie and Jack. They raise the child as their own. No one outside the family ever needs to know. I spent the next week in a haze of betrayal, sleeping in our guest room and avoiding Amanda as much as possible. She continued the pregnancy as if nothing had changed, telling me repeatedly that what was done could not be undone. And the kindest thing now was to play along for Natalie's sake. Do not punish my sister because you are upset with me, she would say. This baby is innocent in all this. When I refused to sign the paternity documents, Amanda's manipulation intensified. If you do not sign, I will tell everyone you abandoned me during pregnancy. Your firm prides itself on family values. How will they react to that? The depth of the betrayal became even more apparent when we attended a dinner at Amanda's parents' home. Friends and extended family had been invited, and Amanda had told them all we were having a baby that we would give to Natalie. The narrative she had created cast us as the generous couple helping poor, infertile Natalie. Everyone congratulated me on my extraordinary selflessness. Her mother cornered me by the punch bowl. Quentin, I always knew you were a good man, but this is beyond anything we could have expected. Giving your own child to help Natalie, well, that takes a special kind of person. I smiled weakly, unable to correct her without creating a scene. Across the room, Jack was avoiding me entirely, while Natalie kept shooting me grateful looks between wiping away tears. The climax of the evening came when Natalie stood and offered a toast to my amazing sister and brother-in-law. There are no words for the gift you are giving us. This miracle would not be possible without both of you. Both couples. The careful phrasing struck me like lightning. She knew. She had always known. After everyone had gone home, Amanda's father pulled me aside and mentioned he had found an excellent family lawyer to handle the adoption. He has drawn up the papers for you to sign as the father. Makes everything cleaner legally. When I hesitated, her father frowned. You are not getting cold. Feet are you, son? Everyone is counting on you to do the right thing. That night, lying awake in our guest room, I realized Amanda had trapped me in an impossible position. If I refused to sign, I would be the villain who crushed Natalie's dreams. If I exposed the truth, I would tear apart an entire family. And if I went along with the lie, I would surrender my self-respect forever. The breaking point came when Amanda's mother called to discuss plans for a special ceremony before the baby was born. A ritual to symbolize our gift to Natalie and Jack. She mentioned how they would acknowledge my sacrifice and generosity. As I hung up, the phone clarity washed over me. I had been allowing myself to be manipulated by people who had not shown me the slightest respect or consideration. They had lied to me, betrayed me, and now expected me to smile and play along. That evening, I quietly began collecting evidence. I saved screenshots of text messages between Amanda and Jack, documented the timeline of events, and gathered hotel receipts from their meetings. I consulted a divorce attorney who confirmed that what Amanda had done constituted adultery and fraud. Most importantly, he helped me prepare divorce papers and a statement that would leave no room for misinterpretation. Amanda's family had planned an elaborate baby shower for both sisters the following weekend. Everyone who mattered in our social circle would be there, the perfect audience for the narrative they had constructed. It would also be the perfect place to reclaim my dignity. The baby shower was held at a rented event space overlooking the Willamette River. Pink and blue decorations covered every surface, and a professional photographer circulated capturing candid moments of the sisters. I arrived late carrying a leather portfolio instead of a gift. Amanda looked surprised to see me. We had barely spoken all week and I had not confirmed I would attend. She was showing now, her belly swelling with a child created through betrayal. "You came," she said, forcing a smile for the benefit of watching relatives. "I would not miss it," I replied calmly. The event proceeded with games, gifts, and tearful speeches about the miracle of family. Then Amanda stood to give her speech, one hand resting on her stomach. She thanked everyone for coming to celebrate this special journey and turned to me with manufactured gratitude. "And most of all, I want to thank my incredible husband, who has shown what true love and sacrifice mean." "I would like to say something," I interrupted, standing and moving to the front of the room. The hushed crowd watched expectantly, likely anticipating some emotional declaration of love. Instead, I opened my portfolio and spoke clearly. "I have recently discovered that the child Amanda is carrying is not the result of medical surrogacy, as many of you have been told. The biological father is Jack, Amanda's brother-in-law, with whom she has been having an affair for the past 4 months, with Natalie's knowledge and approval." The room went completely silent. Amanda's face drained of color while Natalie grabbed Jack's arm so hard her knuckles turned white. This was not a medical procedure. This was not a one-time insemination. This was an ongoing sexual relationship hidden from me. While my wife, her sister, and their parents conspired to have me sign birth documents claiming paternity of a child that is not mine, I began passing out copies of text message screenshots with dates clearly visible. These are conversations between my wife and her sister's husband, planning their meetings and discussing their progress. There are hotel receipts, timeline inconsistencies, and other evidence I have collected. Amanda stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Quentin, stop this right now. You are embarrassing yourself." "No, Amanda. For the first time in months, I am not embarrassing myself. I am standing up for myself." The room erupted in shocked whispers. Jack sat frozen, his face ashen. Natalie was crying, no longer tears of joy. Amanda's parents looked horrified, not by what their daughters had done, but that it was being exposed publicly. I walked over to Amanda and handed her a thick envelope. "These are divorce papers citing adultery and fraud. You have been served in the presence of witnesses." She took the envelope automatically, too stunned to speak. I turned to address the room one final time. "I wish Natalie and Jack well with their child. I truly do. But I will not be manipulated into claiming paternity or accepting betrayal as a gift I should be grateful for. Self-respect and honesty matter more than appearances, and I refuse to live a lie to make others comfortable with their deception." With that, I walked out, leaving behind the stunned silence of people whose carefully constructed narrative had just crumbled. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely. The aftermath was predictably messy. Amanda called and texted, constantly alternating between rage and tearful apologies. Her parents attempted to convince me to handle things privately to avoid scandal. Natalie sent a long email explaining their desperation and begging for understanding. I moved into a downtown apartment and took 2 weeks off work. When I returned, my colleagues were supportive, but curious. I shared only that I was going through a divorce due to irreconcilable differences. The truth eventually filtered through social circles, as it always does. The divorce proceedings were contentious. Amanda fought against the adultery claim, arguing that her actions were altruistic rather than romantic. The judge was unimpressed by this distinction. We sold the house and divided assets according to state law. I did not seek alimony despite the option being available. I wanted nothing that would tie me to her going forward. Recovery came slowly. I found a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma and joined a hiking group to get out of my head on weekends. I reconnected with old friends who had drifted away during my marriage. I started sketching again, something I had loved in college but abandoned as adult responsibilities took over. 6 months after the baby shower, I had created a new space for myself. My apartment overlooking the city felt like mine, in a way the house never truly had. I filled it with books I had always wanted to read, art that spoke to me, and furniture I chose without compromise. I heard through mutual friends that Amanda had delivered a healthy baby boy. Natalie and Jack were raising him as planned, though rumors suggested their marriage was struggling under the weight of everything that had happened. Amanda had taken a nursing position in Seattle, creating geographic as well as emotional distance from the situation she had created. A year after my world imploded, I met someone new at an architectural exhibition. We started slowly, friends first, both cautious about rushing into anything. She knew my story and understood my hesitation. There was a transparency to our relationship that felt like fresh air after years of breathing smoke. I learned valuable lessons through this painful experience. Trust should be given freely, but not blindly. Family ties do not justify betrayal. And most importantly, no one can take your self-respect unless you surrender it willingly. The hardest truth I faced was that I had ignored early warning signs because I wanted to believe in the narrative I had created about my wife and our marriage. I had prioritized her happiness above my own for so long that I lost sight of what I deserved in a relationship. Looking back now, the most significant gift I gave myself was refusing to sign those papers and walking away with my integrity intact. In choosing truth over comfort, I found a path to genuine healing rather than a lifetime of resentment. I still believe in love and partnership. My experience did not make me bitter, just wiser. I know now that real love includes respect, honesty, and consideration for a partner's feelings, not just grand gestures or convenient arrangements. If you have ever faced a moment where you had to choose between painful truth and comfortable lies, drop a comment below. I would love to hear how you found your way through. And if my story helped you in any way, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who might need to hear that standing up for yourself is not selfish. It is essential. Thank you for listening to my journey from betrayal to rebuilding. Remember, the first step toward healing is refusing to participate in your own deception.